All right, this is a test live stream. Ignore the rag over here that I use to clean my guitars. And I did a quick attempt to trying to set up a decent background by throwing the ivy in the back there. So this is Martin Bryan. I don't typically do live streams, but knock on wood, since my channel recently has started to take off quite a bit, I thought I'd do a test this morning. So a couple of things going on. Again, let me draw attention to someone other than myself. Today is Thursday the 8th in the US, and at 1:30 CST, GMT -5, my old friend Joe Falisco and Eric Northen, his partner in crime. Eric is the singer guitar player, and Joe is the world's most renowned living blues harp player. So they've got a live show today at 1:30 p.m. You can find the tickets on Facebook. If you scroll through my Facebook or my YouTube history, you'll see I did a video where I did a brief description of what Joe was up to, a clip of a show that he and Eric did during a clinic in Australia. So you could see kind of for free what their incredible talent level is. And one of my favorite songs that they've done, which is Sonic Breakdown. That's just a tremendous performance. To give you a sample of what they can do. And then tickets, the link to the tickets for the live stream today at 1:30. So that's what they've got going on. And again, a couple of people in one of the guitar forums, I think the Marshall forum, actually recognized Joe, and they're like, oh, wow, okay, I know Joe. How do you know Joe? I've been following him for years as a harmonica player. I'm like, hey, I know him from back in the days in Joliet when he was basically the assistant teacher in the honors guitar program that I was a part of briefly. So Joe is an amazing musician and kind of a hidden secret. Still, even though he's the harp god, one of the best guitar players any of you. I can tell you this without having met any of you. He's one of the best guitar players still that any of you guys will come across. All right, so that's Joe and Eric and what they got going on. Back to little old me. I have realized from following other people on YouTube that I like creators outside this guitar and rock space, particularly Answers with Joe, who's a super popular science communicator. And he's been doing videos saying that his very successful channel was starting to crater because the new way that the algorithm is written for YouTube, they're trying to play catch up to TikTok. So the algorithm and YouTube's policies are really, really pushing shorts. And he noticed that his big successful channel was starting to crater because he wasn't creating shorts. So I'm like, hey, I hadn't touched my channel in a year. It had been a year since I drove back down to Joliet to do an interview with Joe Falisco once again and our old guitar teacher, Jeff Jaskowiak, because they had just released an album together. And that's still featured on my YouTube page. If you go there, you'll see the full interview, and then there's a playlist where I break down different chapters where we focus on talking about just, interesting stuff like what kind of mics are best for recording harmonica versus recording guitar, what kind of plugins you can use to go back and punch up old recordings. So that is a great video. Check that out. The thing that I'm currently looking forward to is I've somehow become flagged as an owner or collector of high-end Epiphone Les Pauls because I bought the Alex Lifeson last year from an associate, a guy I know from a guy who's one of the higher ups at SamAsh. So I had wanted to get the Alex Lifeson because I'd been a lifelong fan of Rush. Anybody who knows me personally knows what a Rush geek I was, and you just couldn't get them anywhere. So an acquaintance of mine from another part of my life was like, hey, I know one of the guys who started SamAsh. Give this guy a call, and if he can get you one, he'll tell you in 24 hours. If he can't, he'll tell you in 24 hours. So sure enough, Talked to this founder of SamAsh. He gave me his senior sales guy, and 24 hours later, he located me in Alex Lifeson. So the other day, after having been down in the Tinley Park area, for anyone who knows Illinois, for a family funeral, spent the night down there. Woke up early, drove back, just totally exhausted. Cooked dinner for me and my son by the time I got home, because I live like 100 miles north of where I was at for the funeral. I'm just laying in bed. The phone rings. I'm like, David Weintraub from SamAsh? Why is he calling me? And then he let me know about the Adam Jones. There were only 800 released in the world. SamAsh got 20, and he's already sold 3. He advised me to just go ahead and buy it as an investment, even if I wasn't a Tool fan. I'm like, look, I'm a Tool fan, but I know nothing about this release. I'm a pretty avid watcher of the Epiphone website, and I had seen nothing about this guitar. So I did a little research, and I pinged this woman I know, Claire, who's the Facebook group manager for the Epiphone group and also the Alex Lifeson group. And she had more info on it actually than the salesperson did. So she knew that the series was going to be 800 guitars, that there's going to be limited custom artwork that Adam Jones was really into. For those of you who don't know, besides being the head, the lead guitar player for Tool, Adam Jones is a Chicago dude. He's 2 years older than me and grew up in the area I live now. So he casts a large shadow for any players that are my age in Chicago, because I'm not one of the ones who was lucky enough to run into him back in the day when he was making it, but I know people who were gigging and ran into him back in the day up here in the northern suburbs. So people would just be talking at bars, kind of like I talk about Joe. Joe Flisco's name comes up, or Eric's. I'm like, hey, I know those guys. I interviewed Joe last year. I saw him at Joe's Crab Shack before the COVID virus. They were playing a little show, intimate in person. And, other people are like, hey, man, I used to know Adam Jones back in the day. We get together at XYZ. So I told David, yeah, probably buy this guitar, but I need a minute, right? I just woke up from a nap. I got to kind of center myself, especially look into this custom artwork, because if the artwork on the back is something I don't like, why would I pay that much for the guitar? And again, David Weintraub from SamAsh is like, dude, just buy it. And if you don't like it, list it on Reverb the next day. And sure enough, I did an update video calling it The Reverb Wars Have Begun. And, the guitar still selling as new for $1,300, and Reverb listings going from a minimum of $1,600 all the way up to $2,000 already. So that's what I've got going on. I got to be here Friday all freaking day waiting for FedEx, because they very wisely sent it signature only, unlike my medical supply vendor, who just sends stuff willy-nilly. And I had $300 worth of diabetes supplies broken into and stolen this week. Even though I live in a nice place, you always got to make sure you have your expensive items. Little tip here from an old fat guy, have your expensive items shipped signature only, or at least with notifications turned on. So when the item gets, arrives at your door, you can run to make sure it's there. Because even under the best of circumstances, you never know who's just lying around, or if it's even somebody that works for the delivery service and they know, hey, I just delivered a collector's item guitar. Maybe I swing around later today, and if this guy hasn't got it yet, maybe something happens to it. All right, so that's enough of my rambling. It's been over 9 minutes. Testing the live feature, testing the Blue Yeti mic. Got the Ivy here in the background just as a little wallpaper candy. Best under $200 guitar I've ever bought. Bought that when I was bored waiting for the Alex Lifeson to come in. So I needed a little something. So, hey, $180 open box from Amazon. Why not? All right, enough rambling. If anybody does indeed go back and watches this, please comment. Please subscribe. That is the last thing holding me back from being able to monetize. I'll get on this high horse. I've been on YouTube forever, since long before they were owned by Google. And back in the old days, I used to be big enough channel that I monetized, and I had all kinds of big name companies advertising. And then the second Google came in, they pulled the rug out from under that, and every year made it more and more difficult and more complicated to hit certain thresholds and earn badges so that you can monetize. So right now, the only thing that's holding me back is a subscriber count. I've pretty much licked everything else, but I've got to get from 251 to 1,000 subscribers before I can start, earning a penny a week. It's not the money. It's kind of the, I was doing this back in the day and you clowns at Google took it away from me. So one way or another, I'm going to crawl my way back. Anyway, now we're almost at 11 minutes. Thank you and take care.